Hey, welcome back to the State of Love and Trust. It's episode 297, and this week's guest is a producer, a writer, a guitarist, a mandolin player, a concha player. Is it called the concha? I don't even know. But he plays almost every instrument, and he's been on a million different records, most of which you love. Working with Chris Cornell, Queens of the Stone Age, Them Crooked Vultures, fronting the band 11. How about Drink the Sea with Peter Buck and Barrett Martin? Oh, we've got so many things to talk about, and they're all coming up next, including the songwriting process, and we're going to get deep with...
Hi, I am Alain Johannes, and this is the State of Love and Trust.
Welcome to the episode of the State of Love and Trust podcast. I'm one of your two hosts, Jason Kerepesi, and alongside me, as always, is...
Paul Ghiglieri.
There he is. I'm so effing stoked for this episode, you guys. And listen, if you're watching here on YouTube, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. Really do appreciate that. I know it's a stupid little thing we got to say, but it helps the algorithm. And for the listening-only algorithm, Paul, what do they got to do?
You're hopefully going to rate, review, and subscribe on your preferred podcast platform of choice. Feed that algorithm.
There you go. You've got a mug in hand. I've got a mug in hand. You can also have a mug in hand if you'd like. Links below in the description of the video or the podcast for the official pod shop. I got a new thread here, Paul.
I like it. Looks good.
Yeah. A little something on the back, too. Wink. Anyways, enough shilling. We've got a great conversation to get to today. You've already seen it in the episode description. Oh my God. Multi-instrumentalist. He's been on a million records. He's a great guy. And let's just dive into it. Alain Johannes. This week's guest is a multi-instrumentalist, producer, and songwriter whose fingerprints are all over some of the most influential rock music of the last 3 decades. From his work with 11 to collaborations with artists like Chris Cornell, Queens of the Stone Age, and his trippy new band, Drink the Sea, he has built a reputation as one of music's most quietly brilliant creative forces. Today, we're diving into his journey, his creative process, and the stories behind a life spent making deeply powerful music. Welcome to the show, Alain Johannes.
Woo! Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you, Alan.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
This has been kind of a bit in the making, Alain. We've been talking back and forth for the last few months. You're a busy man, and we finally tracked you down.
Yeah, sorry. I was on tour with solo, then with Drink the Sea, and but I'm finally here, kind of staying put for a second, and so we could finally do this. And thank you for being patient.
It's a pleasure to have you. Yeah, but part of the pity of talking with you in the morning is that we're all enjoying our tea and coffee. But had we had the conversation later, then we could have talked a little bit about Chilean wine. You know?
Yes. Well, I mean, it's a time difference too, isn't it? Yeah, it's pretty exciting because I'm actually living in a little south of Santiago, where Concha y Toro is stationed. You know, there's one of the biggest vineyards in Chile, and also one of the biggest exporters. So right down the street, and there's several smaller vineyards. So there's all kinds of great local wine that is not expensive compared to what California's fancy ones are. You know,
yeah. There's always like a nice like spice at the end of a good Chilean wine.
Yeah, for sure. And I remember like that was Trader Joe's in the 80s. Remember we used to try to like scrounge money to have a party on the weekend, and Trader Joe's was the first place you could get like brie.
Really?
And like pita and like hummus, and suddenly they had this Chilean wine, like Gato Negro, I remember, or Casillero del Diablo, and they were like $5. I was like, no way, it's so good, you know. That was kind of the first spot where you could kind of like, as a musician, have a kind of a fancier kind of affair on the weekend, you know.
Hey, listen, I was on that $2 Chuck game when it was like before it blew up, and you throw a little aerator in that bad boy. It's not bad.
Right. I mean, aerator is just a great. That's right. Decanting, it works for everything. And you know, once I was given the gift of this.
Alan, you don't have to be polite. You don't have to be polite. Just tell Jason that.
No, but I mean, like I trust you. I mean, it's listen. At the end of the day, it's like it makes you feel better than previously. I think a little wine, no matter what it is. I mean, I've had like some wine that is questionable. Actually, Peter Buck and I would really like our wine on the road, and it's really interesting when you say like red wine, and you can tell which promoter really gives a shit about making you proud or happy that you're there. I mean, because like, oh, okay, this is just like whatever, and some were like, ooh, look, and it's a Malbec, ooh, a Tempranillo, ooh, a Rioja, they get all. Oh, and then one time there was a shot enough to pop. I was like, no fucking way. Yeah. So, but it's usually gone by the time we get on stage.
That's how you know you're in a classy place or not. They go, well, we have red wine and white wine.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what.
Yeah. Well, usually the white wine every once in a while, right? But it seems more like a daytime thing, or like with fruit in it. I don't know.
Oh, a little sangria.
I love sangria. You guys like sangria?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We can talk about this all day long. We just do all the music.
It's State of Love and Trust. It's an horticulture podcast. People are just finding this out now.
Yeah, hold on. So we're talking Chile here, and that's where you're at. And you show me a picture of your gorgeous back garden there, and you raised in a lot of different cultures, right? And you were talking before about how you've been outside of that mainstream spotlight, kind of more or less over these years. Can you tell me how has being like an in-between person shaped your relationship with music?
I love it. I'm an in-between person.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. It's well, I think because my family were already entertainers and musicians, and because they, for the practicalities of trying to make a living out of that, sometimes you have to make moves and go to other countries to improve your life or whatever. And in my case, my grandmother was very itchy after having survived through the war and running around and ending up in Hungary, which is not exactly where you wanted to be in the early 50s. So then we ended up coming to Chile, and then I was born here. And then she kind of like wanted to leave back to Europe. And so she told my mom that she was going to take me to her friend's house. And then we ended up on a boat to Switzerland. So it's like my first language was actually Swiss German. And I remember like the 60s really clearly because I'm going to be 64. So I remember the Beatles on the radio, and that was amazing. And then we all met up again in Mexico City in 68. And I distinctly remember the feeling of the late 60s, early 70s, because we were hanging out with a lot of musicians, and like an English couple that lived next door. They gave me my first vinyl of Black Sabbath and Hendrix and the Beatles. So I got really lucky. Like it was a series of happy accidents. Like, okay, I went from here to there, and then suddenly, I'm absorbing not only the Beatles but Paco de Lucia. They gave me like this vinyl, and then that kind of opens me up. Plus, George in the Beatles was the one that kind of said, okay, sitar or whatever. So Indian classical. And just, because, as a kid, if you have to read, a new language and adjusting to new environments, you stay very elastic, Mm-hmm. And because I loved the sound of instruments and the textures and everything about music, I kind of started to become very interested and aware, and also seek out how to learn about these things, including recording, including multi-instrumentalists like my Uncle Peter. He would come and rehearse at my mom's place where we were staying. And it was awesome for me because I had a full band in the living room, and then they'd party all the time. So the instruments was just sitting there. And I'm like 10 years old. I'm like, okay, wow, it's a flute. Oh, wow, it's a trumpet. Oh, wow, it's a bass. Oh, it's an SG with a, little distortion plus with a, and they had a 4-track recorder. So I really credit that crazy upbringing with my Bohemian family, and almost credit them with staying healthy, because they used to party so hard that I didn't want to be that guy. Mm. But then somehow in my 20s, I'm like, oh, look, it's a cigarette. Oh, look, it's a glass of wine. It was inevitable. What can I say? And thankfully I've quit smoking now, but the wine stays. Yeah. So I think it's just, having this interest. I can't even remember if this has anything to do with what you asked me originally, but.
It is. In this sense, you talked about being elastic, right? So like when you're kind of existing on the peripheral like this in this mm-hmm. Bohemian family, I gotta imagine that it sharpens perception at the same time, though, because you mentioned noticing all these instruments and all the value that those things can contribute to sound.
Yeah, exactly, and just the constant search, So that's why to this day, like I just picked up a mridangam, which is a percussion instrument from India, and I have a kamanche, which is a Persian classical instrument. So I pick up a new instrument like every few months. Not only because I love how they look in the in the house, just sitting out, not even in cases, but also how like I always hear textures, and so if I'm working on a song or recording something, I can totally like, oh wow,
You
really
recognize
cool
this?
Oh, there you look at that. It's beautiful. Wow.
What is that?
That's like a mini oud.
Yeah, it's a mini, but it's almost closer to like a lyre. I mean, it's this instrument. My parent brought it back from Morocco, which is pretty
That's gorgeous.
Cool.
And how do you tune it?
I don't have a clue. Wow.
You don't, Alan. It tunes
That's
itself.
why you're here, Alan.
Yeah, that's amazing. Look, I gotta look at this thing. This is a Portuguese guitar. Let me show you the headstock. Look at this insanity.
Cool. Whoa! How do you tune that thing?
So it's like. It's at the moment. Well, it's CGA.
Is it 10 string? 12 string? What is that?
It's 12. It's a CGA DGA, but then you got to relearn everything. So I just tuned it to the closest, which is like, it's like I think it's in B standard, because I just calculate the tension. I'm like, oh, if I go whole tone down here, and then I don't have to fucking learn it again. So I already did that. So
I was going to say you got all these instruments that you keep picking up, like you're going to flea markets and like, oh, that looks nice. Yard sales,
dude. And on tour, like you try to. I thankfully gave myself a bit of a leeway, which is I don't have to be a fucking virtuoso. I just have to play it well enough so that it makes a cool sound in the song, Yeah. And I kind of go towards the Tom Waits Drunken Sailor horn section, where the intonation is questionable and the tone is all, but it's kind of cool because it's late and it's dark and it's everyone's drunk, that kind of thing. So I try to like learn it enough so that I can play it convincingly for the song, and then a few things I've actually gotten better at in years passing, and I wouldn't like. I mean, I've actually played horns like with Eagles, and I've played horns with like I remember with Thelonious Monster when Angelo played trombone, and I had a little jazz band, and I dared play flute and piano, like because there was a piano on stage, and I'm just kind of fearless. And if the worst thing that can happen, everyone thinks I'm terrible. And that's not whatever. It's just an opinion, right? Maybe I am, but I don't know. But that kind of makes me like jump head first and really gets me quite far. It's amazing how hot air and a good attitude will take.
Well, I want a hot air and a bad attitude, so I just channel that through this medium and not the guitar.
Amazing. Oh, you can totally do that, though. I mean, I think Look, you got a cool twin back there. Look at you. Is that a twin? Fender twin?
Deluxe reverb.
Oh, deluxe reverb. Yeah, nice one.
Yeah. My pedal board's on the ground. It's full of all kinds of tools that I can't use properly.
Oh my God! If I could only show you, it's just I'm looking at. If I look out there, right now, I see a sarangi, a sitar, a cello, a kamanche. I just got an big amp for it because for the Drink the Sea show, I was short one bass amp. Anyway, yeah. So
you're like a Babel app for musicians. It's just whatever sound you want, you bring Alan on the show. I got it. This is funny because you made an Instagram video last year. I remember this, where you showed 100 of the most streamed songs that you've been a part of, either as a writer, a producer, a performer, what have you. The list is incredible, first and foremost, but it's just the top 100, mind you, because there's more. Now you've been a bridge between artists and obviously eras. You talked about the Beatles, you talked about Black Sabbath. Do you see yourself almost like as a builder or as a translator or like a facilitator of other people's visions or something else?
I think closer to a facilitator, because my attitude is, I'm a good team player. I'm a good guy to have in your team because I usually kind of selfless in the sense that I immediately tune into what I imagine would be the best thing for the project, for the album, for the song, for the thing that we're recording, and I really like having good time. So I'm kind of like. I suppose, like working with Chris Cornell or Josh Homme or PJ Harvey, like I'm just kind of like cool to have around. I'm handy. I can have ideas. I can play stuff, and I can kind of joke around and make everybody feel good. Because that's what I'm trying to do for myself. Is just life can be so insanely horrific and hard, and there's so much loss, but there's so much beauty too. And so I think I've thankfully kept music really, or just the feeling of being creative or being in tune with the muse. Like I still don't feel like I actually did anything. I feel like I prepared to receive a transmission, and it's just out there, and I pick it up. I don't know if that's actually true, but at least for me, it really helps to keep me kind of aligned properly and not overthink and try to do stuff. So I mean, I think that even in the 80s, we started with the first band with Flea, Hillel, Jack, and I before the Peppers, and we were already pretty much filling up the cool little clubs in LA, and grew up in that time. So that's almost the first real the new wave, the late 70s, early 80s. Gang of Four, REM. I kind of even though Peter's a little older than me, I remember going to see them, and we were already active. So that's even before the whole grunge thing, and what they ended up calling grunge, and our connection with Soundgarden and Pearl Jam and all that stuff happened. So it's almost 4 decades, really, if you look at it that way. It's crazy. But it's just, I don't know, I'm still here, and I'm super excited about still coming up with some stuff. I mean, really, I'm missing my people. I mean, Natasha and Chris and Mark, and, people that I love, that had such an easy shorthand with, and we had this kind of camaraderie and this kind of forward motion, to make great music and keep going. And so I'm kind of one of the few left. I mean, Josh is around, and that kind of makes me wake up and have a forward motion and impetus. It's just to keep it going, like they would want me to. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of, we can get into that quickly now, but all the personal loss and the grief and that kind of thing. But you, like you said, you've pushed through and you've continued making art all these years. We believe that when someone we love is gone, that art can kind of be a dialogue. Mm-hmm. So the question is, have you ever written or played something that maybe felt like a conversation, maybe across time, across many of your projects? Do you have any examples that come to mind?
I mean, like when I did Spark in 4 days, I was literally felt Natasha in the room, and she was feeding me ideas. Mm. It was a little break in the Crooked Vultures touring. And my mom was staying with me. This is after she survived the first round of cancer, and she was, cooking and helping me. And I had this little window, and I just knew that for me to heal because Josh got really concerned I wasn't going to make Natasha's, survive after Natasha passed. So he kind of got me busy. Arctic Monkeys, record, engineer this, and let's have him started this band with John Paul Jones, Dave Grohl. Why don't you come along and record some stuff and then join us live? And, so he was really sweetly concerned about that, including bringing me back to Chile after 46 years to meet my paternal side and my father and everything. Mm. But it's interesting because I just feel not only their presence of now with Mark too, Mark being gone, there's this connections where obviously, some people say that, or people like scientists and say, well, it's not really proven that, maybe time doesn't exist at all. Maybe it's all happening simultaneously. It's just a perception. I think that feeling of connection and love can definitely, doesn't get separated by distance, or obviously one misses the person tremendously, but I can sense that, whether it's them inside me or whatever, or a little more mystical than that. But I think that's a big part of being able to process is knowing that it's just a temporary thing, whether we all absorb into some big single mind, or there's some kind of individual reincarnation or souls or heaven or whatever. Who knows, right? It's
that concept of absorption, though, is really fascinating. Do you think? Mm-hmm. Sometimes I wonder if like music can metabolize trauma, or do you think it exists to document it in some capacity?
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah, interesting way of putting it. I think that both of those things. it's almost like I find it to be really powerful communication tool. But it's not like I'm thinking about it in that way. It's just that by the time I'm in the zone and I need to create this thing, that it naturally is communicating something kind of almost holographic to somebody else. And I know this is true because how many times on tour people come up to me and they speak about this amazing impact that the music has had on them and how it's helped them through all the difficult times. And it's helped me and other people's music has helped me as well. So that's a pretty powerful thing that goes beyond, I mean, it's just art in general, I suppose. It's just a way to, remind ourselves of the humanity and divinity within us and to, I don't know, it's just amazing what it can do for, like can have the worst day ever and feel disconnected and suddenly, the right song comes on or you listen to the right record or listen to a piano concerto or whatever it is. It's crazy powerful, and pretty amazing considering that it supposedly only exists because there's oxygen, right? With sound waves moving, even though it's in here too, But like Beethoven at some point was deaf, and he still could hear it in his head, But like
he could feel it in his fingers and his bones, yeah.
Yeah, but is it because we that started originally? We can hear it. Obviously, that's how it goes. But does it exist without us? Well, obviously, it must, right? Because animals, they make sounds and they songs and whale songs they carry generationally, and it's just fascinating to me. It's very mysteriously awesome, that whole thing,
You mentioned Josh Homme, and we've talked about a lot of the collaborations that you've done. I worked with Barrett Martin recently, and even some of these younger musicians like Sick Joy, right?
Yeah, love those guys.
What makes a session with people like this, older friends, younger kids, just kind of starting out or in their early stages of their career? What makes a session feel alive versus kind of a transactional thing? Like, what's the energy shift you're looking for there?
Well, I mean, hopefully what's going to happen is I become part of I go internally absorb into the thing that's happening. So I'm a good band member. I'm almost inside it too, with just a little bit of the added bonus that I might have a perspective that, or a way of looking at the thing in front of us slightly different than the people that have been living it, But yet, obviously, I don't want to come in and like, oh, what I would do is this, and and like I'm going to play a solo on your song, or like this, we should do it like this because I try to avoid that. And also, it's interesting because in some sessions, like I'm kind of a general kind of chill kind of guy, but there's some sessions that can be pretty intense, and because that's what that person's creative process demands, Like we have fun in Queens of the Stone Age sessions, but they're certainly not like, it's pretty intense. It can be like very, very focused and have a sense of like urgency and push, to get to the next level,
Do you thrive in a sense in that way?
I can, like with Josh, like he pushes himself so hard and he expects the same of everybody in the room, that to be able to take it because we're going to the next level and it's not necessarily going to be easy to get there, because it might be uncomfortable because we're going to change, and change is the hardest thing,
Yeah.
At the same time, like, sometimes I just create a really cool environment for people. When I used to have the studio at 11 AD in LA, like I worked on like 80 records, and it's such a myriad. One time, a couple of times that it didn't work so well was when there was self-sabotage going on, and I couldn't, nor was I supposed to stop it from happening. I just kind of got sucked into it, and I tried to learn from that.
But just like watching a train crash.
Yeah, and you could see there was a dynamic, and I won't say who, but the main guy was torturing his band members, like making them feel small, and like it was really awful to see. And I kind of supported them, and I did the opposite. I tried to give them love and support, and try to bring them, because they were closing down. We weren't getting anything out of them because they were like, dealing in the fear and the self-doubt, which he was fostering, And then I tell you that was intense. But at the same time, like you know, you don't know what's going to happen until the only reason is, for me, it's never financial, because especially these days, because it really isn't that much money. Sometimes it's better just to stay home and mix or go on the road. But there's something that happens when I hear a new band or hear, and it moves me, and it intrigues me, and it's something that maybe I haven't done, and I'm also interested in their process, and so it's whole kind of like a learning thing, and also like I don't have like a set of like technical things. Like I put, these are the mics I use with this gear, or this is what works well. I try to keep that all as reset as much as I can with each project, because it's interesting to see what one comes up with in the moment, you know?
Yeah.
Yes,
I was going to say, Alan, like you kind of touched on this idea of like that intersection between creative process and creative identity, and the story you referenced about band members just feeling stifled and unable to express because they felt I don't want to say undermined, but almost inadequate because they weren't getting to someone else's vision, a front man's vision of where things needed to go. So when you consider yourself in that context, like you have fronted 11, right? So but at the same time, like you've often been a quiet, stabilizing presence in other powerful bands like Queens of the Stone Age. So how do you protect your own creative identity while helping someone else realize theirs?
I mean, I think that you call on like the part of you that works in that context, you know, like the part where I need to be the lead guy, or need to play the fancy solos, or that part is not. It's like more like how can I help him be the best version of himself right now, or her?
Do you, Alan? Do you think that like the way you grew up, that elasticity that you talked about, that informed that part of you as a musician?
I think it must have, for sure. And also, like, you know, how many times we were like moving into a new neighborhood from a different country, didn't know the language, and you know, want to make friends, and
you got
sometimes adaptable, and even sometimes like when we're living in Mexico, like you know, my stepdad, you know, would invest my mom was a singer, and invest her money that she was earning into some crazy scheme or business plan, and it would fail miserably. And next thing you know, we're moving to the poorest neighborhood in Mexico City. And here I am with my fancy duds, and you show up to play soccer with the local kids. Guess what happens? Kapow! You know, get beat up, get stuff torn up, and then I'm initiated, and they were cool. And so I had to, you know, not only within that, with the different countries, but also different environments. And that made me very adaptable too. And I think that you're right. I think that serves, because imagine by the time I arrived in the States, I already been through so many different things, and I had to learn a new language. I didn't speak any English when I moved to the States in '74, and within 2 weeks, I'm hanging out and meet Hillel Slovak and Chuck Irons, and we start jamming every day for years. You know, that kind of became, you know, the backbone. The beginning of so many things. You know, if you think about where Jack ended up, and the Peppers and me, and then meeting Natasha. So, yeah, I think that definitely plays into it. Because, you know, look at my uncle Peter and other members of my family. They're a little more very specifically themselves, especially my uncle Peter, who was a larger than life, very famous here in Chile. It was kind of like a cross between, like, say, Elvis Presley and like celebrity, like, I don't know, like Johnny Carson, like the comedian, multi-instrumentalist, and everybody knows Peter Rock, you know. And he was a larger than life, you know, almost like he couldn't help but come into the room, and he needed to own the room, you know. So it was a little bit
like that, yes.
It was a little bit exhausting after a while. You're like, okay, I get it, you're awesome, okay. But you know,
he brings his own spotlight wherever he goes.
Dude, I'm telling you, only you could have seen him. But at the same time, he was the one that, you know, it was so funny because he's like, I was 4, and he says, he gives me his guitar. He goes, okay, this is an A, this is a D, this is a C, this is a G, this is an E minor. Okay, this is how you move. Okay, and you hit it like this and strum that. Okay, good, you're good. Bye. I was like, okay, well, that's all he needed to do. He never like, you know, pushed me. And I think I think that really, because the sense of exploration is what's the most interesting to me. That's why I never want to think I know anything, or I think the different instruments and things like that, and it goes back to the adapting to wherever you are. I like to wake up in the morning and like feel fresh. I mean, there's so much history behind me now too, and so. The good thing about coming to Chile now and having my little spot here off grid, it's a tiny little house I'm renting. It's not expensive, but I've got all my instruments, and there's a pool, and there's dogs, and there's birds, and there's fruit trees, and a river. So I can kind of just go inward and kind of think, there's just much. I'm imagining there's more left. I need some health stuff I got to take care of, but I'm excited about the future and I feel really blessed about that, as opposed to feeling really the pull of the past with all the memories and all the loss and all the things that happened. And I got to be honest, when you said in between, like I've been around a lot of my friends since before they were famous, and then they got super famous and super rich, and in some cases more rich than the other ones. And it's never easy for them. It's complicated, There's you change into this, you can't help it. It just becomes this weight more than a burden. I mean, of course, there are moments where I wish I had a couple more bucks so I didn't have to stress about the bills. But at the same time, I wouldn't want to be that. I don't think I would have handled that or I wouldn't been happy. It's a strange thing to say, but yes.
I wonder if being such an accommodating soul is not meant to take on all of that. It almost takes. I was watching a podcast the other day, and someone was saying that in order to be at the top of whatever genre that you work in, or that your passion is, whatever, you have to have sociopathic tendencies. Not necessarily be one. But you have to sort of not give a shit about some certain things or certain people, so that you can kind of, at least in the American version of, how
absolutely. I see that. I understand that.
So when I see people fighting against that, obviously our friend here, Edward, not having an easy time with that, 30 years ago, I wonder how many other musicians that we love have had that struggle of but also.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because there's some. I've been around some that handle it quite well. You would say a Dolly Parton or Willie Nelson or I don't know what it is. Meaning they remain human, they remain concerned, they remain wanting to help the community. They care, and it's a strange thing. I think that in some cases it's awesome because it gives you a certain power to move things forward. Say for example, if you're popular and you have the means, then you can start a label and help other bands, and you can help people and do benefit shows and have a foundation that helps people with their medical bills, and that's really amazing too. And when people do that with the thing, and when so many people depend on you for their survival, I suppose, you got a lot of people in the payroll, that pressure must be so immense, and then also makes everybody just kind of say yes to you a lot.
Oh yeah.
And therefore, you don't got any friends left who are going to call you out on your shit, or at least less. And
that can affect the creative too.
Of course. Yeah. You can start believing your own bullshit. You're like, oh, awesome. Yeah.
But now Alain Johannes is steadfast and grounded.
No, I mean, it's just, I don't know. It obviously a lot of my friends are handling it perfectly well, but it hasn't been easy very often, and some of them aren't here anymore, I don't know if there's direct pressures from that or other things, but I mean, it's not, it's quite a dangerous career path, man. It seems to be. Or maybe it's just a normal average for people. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it's not. But the funny thing is, not really like a career path. Like that implies a choice. I don't really think most creative people have a choice. You know, like I knew from the first day that I had my little job at Baskin Robbins at 15 years old, so I could buy vinyl. I knew that wasn't going to be for me. Like, I got to figure out how to make this work. Like, nothing wrong with ice cream. Nothing wrong with being in service. But I'm telling you, I was not.
Everybody has to do one of those kind of customer-facing jobs that humbles you.
Yeah, dude, I even got locked in. I got locked in the freezer, and the owner was so lucky he forgot something, and he came back, and I was like pounding on the thing. I was going to freeze to death. It happened to you too?
No. I was just mimicking you banging on the door.
Oh yeah, dude.
Just the idea that the 100 albums I just referenced might never have happened if something didn't
frozen
go next
to the butter pecan, all shining Nicholson ending thing.
Oh, Death by Rocky Road.
Death by Rocky Road.
Damn you.
I mean, at some point, I suppose I would have to keep burning calories by eating the ice cream. But I mean, it was cold in there. And, you have the little thin Baskin Robbins shirt, as thin as possible, like cheap shirt with a BR. Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Every time I check your social media, Alan, you've got, like I said, you got something new going on. You got a new project. You got a new band. You got a new thing, a new record, whatever it is. But when you do these new projects, you're working with a new combination of musicians, and they all have their own unique skill sets and emotions and egos, as we've been talking about. I want to know, what is the first thing that you pay attention to when you walk into a new collaborative environment?
Well, it's interesting because very often it could be already set. I mean, I think like the first thing is just how everybody flows, and then if people can't, kind of, there's, who is able to kind of like, work a little bit towards making it work, and who is very much unable to, or stiff about it,
So you basically go in there like, don't be Uncle Peter. Don't be Uncle Peter. Don't be.
Exactly. No, I love Uncle Peter. Sorry, Unc. He's somewhere out there in the universe going like, that's me. No. So the thing is that with like for example, Drink to See, it's really interesting because Barrett and I just met more recently than I would have imagined us meeting. Like, it wasn't until the 2010s, him coming out to Joshua Tree all the time and playing with Mojave Lords, with Dave Catching, and we finally got to hang out. I mean, imagine all those years that we're 11 and Screaming Trees and Matt Season were running around at the same time. I didn't get to meet Mark till 2000, till the Desert Sessions. I mean, meet, like hang out, And Peter, I'd never met him. It's, crazy. All those years, like, you would have figured that. But everyone's interesting because, Peter and Barrett have got this thing for about, 39 records now. They're in the early 90s on. So they already have this thing. And Barrett's a really good organizer and motivator. So him and I jammed 3.5 years ago. I just went over. I was in town. I just went over to his place in Olympia, and we recorded it. And then that became kind of the bed for a couple of things. And then Duke Garwood and I know each other from Mark Lanegan stuff, where Mark would come over and we would mix Duke's records, and Duke would come and be guests on Mark's records that I was producing. And it's interesting because I didn't think I was going to end up in a newish band like that, especially something so different, so much improvisation, so many different influences going on. I'm kind of like just singing a few songs here and there, and being inside the band, and we got Lisette on percussion and Kelsey on bass, and it's quite an interesting thing. So the thing that happens is every situation is so different. Like being in the Euphoria Morning Period, Cornell, being in Queens of the Stone Age, PJ Harvey. The Hope 6 was 10 of us, and that was crazy because suddenly there's like, I knew Polly, but I hadn't met anyone else. Mick Harvey, who was now a dear friend, and John Parrish, and James Johnston, from Gallant Drunk, and Terry. I really like that feeling. I really like that feeling of a new family that like I stay in touch with everybody, and we're checking in on each other, and you have this amazing fond memories of your time together. And my role in each one of these things has been quite different from the other. You know, like Queens was more the bassist, occasionally playing some guitar, then recorded, engineered, mixed Era Bulgaris. And PG Harvey, sometimes I was just on stage with a shaker, singing some backgrounds, and then my cigar box. I mean, who knew, right?
Bring the latest instrument you bought on the side of the road. That'll be your thing.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, that like I remember like playing theremin on Songs for the Deaf. This is a really funny story, real quick. So I just bought it that day, and I would go visit Josh and Nick, and they're recording this. And I said, he goes, Josh, what's that? I go, I just bought a theremin. He goes, oh, great, because we need it. I was thinking of theremin for the song. I was like, hang on. I've never actually tried, to play it. No, you got this. It's okay. So then he's like, we're going to go out to lunch and see if you can come up with a cool part. And I remember thinking, oh my God, what am I, and then I just realized I'm going to suck straight away, because that takes a lifetime, to get the intonation of. But then I got really I was like, what if I visually make a fretboard on the wall opposite with tape, like so if this had da, 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 all I got to do is get the assistant to make, yeah, right there, that's okay, tuner, yeah, that's a G, okay, G sharp, right? And I did that, and I fucking one take nailed this.
What's the name of the song again? I can hear it in my head, but I can't think of the name.
Songs for the Deaf.
Yes.
So being in that moment, though, like I was working with this kid not too long ago, and a little girl, like 6 years old, and she was in just really dysregulated. And so I was trying to talk with her. I could not reach her. So I grabbed this guitar. I'm like, look, let's write a song together. So I just start strumming some chords, and I'm asking her, do you like this one? Do you like that one? No. Eventually I play an E minor. You sound like you're feeling this. I play an E minor, and she's like, yeah, that's fine. I'm kind of curious, though, when you think about like tone and arrangement, right? I mean, I can't write music like you can, right? Now I'm working with a 6-year-old who probably is processing, doesn't even know what she's hearing. When you are writing and producing, are you thinking in terms of frequency and arrangement, or in terms of like emotion and narrative, or does one often lead the other?
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a kind of maybe more like both of those things. I kind of look at it. There's several components. There's a visual component where you see the landscape, like almost like it has height, it has depth, and position, left, right. Then texture is warm, cold, right? So harsh, distortion, warmth. But is like obviously like bottom end, like chest. It's like things in the mids, hitting you like that. Air, So those things, and then also is the kind of a more like a visceral solar plexus burning thing, which is like when I listen to something, as I'm listening, another thing appears inside my head, which is usually the idea that I'm gonna have. Like it appears like playing along. Externally, I'm listening to the song, but inside my head, there's this a new thing that comes in, and as it's playing, I'm developing it to the point where, like, when I pick up the instrument, where I grab the piano or the guitar, I find it. It's already there. It's these notes and this rhythm, and then you adjust a little bit depending on the thing. So it's almost like a I don't know, like a bit spectrumy, maybe even like what do they call that synesthesia, right? You know what I mean? It's like something where you become almost like it's a holographic kind of way of feeling it and looking at this. There's feeling, there's hearing, there's seeing, and all that stuff together. Because also our brain works, different brains work different ways. Some people are tactile. Are you feeling me? And do you see what I'm saying? I mean, can you feel me? I hear you. It's like that's almost like a way that we process information particularly like a little more heavily on one side than others, you know.
Right. It's like
But,
if we had a 6 right here, if you're standing here, you see a 9. If I'm standing here, I see a 6. We're looking at the same thing, but looking at it very, very differently, right?
Amazing, right? Yeah, and I think that that's the great thing about music, and also the communal experience of music is. Say, for example, I've turned around and look at a show, and the person next to me is smiling like this, and then over this side, the person's crying, you know, and then a little further down, the person looks like they're bored, and then this person over here looks like they're pissed, you know.
And all of that is true at once, huh?
All of that is true. It's just bringing you to this place. It's like, and that's why also it's so hard to I guess critique it, you know.
Who are you playing to in that moment? Are you playing to the one that's emotionally connected, the one that's angry, the one that's bored, the one that's disconnected? Like, who are you playing to? Oh my God!
Well, I mean, I guess everybody. I'm just literally trying to be in the moment as much as I can. And when the worst times on stage are when you're thinking, you know. And you're like, by the time you're like, oh God, my monitor sucks, and God, I wish I could hear more of this, and like, oh man, I'm not playing as well as yesterday, and oh man, my underwear is too tight. It's like,
hey, when that happens.
But that's why I admire and respect you so much. You play to the humanity of the moment, and that's why all those things are true at once, right?
Thank you. I mean, it's just like I just feel like if I'm in the zone, I literally will get on stage, and next thing you know, we're taking a bow. And we're walking off stage, and like somehow something happened, you know. And thankfully, that's a little. Recently, thank God, it's been pretty constant. You know, there were times, I had an anxiety disorder since I was a kid, and there were sometimes where get the anxiety on stage, in the middle of and you push through it because you have the ability to. But it certainly is not fun, you know, or if having a bad show. But here's the funny thing about having bad shows, too. It's like you literally walk off stage and everyone says that was the best show I've ever seen. They don't realize, yeah. Yeah, and then other times you think you did so great and everyone's like, so, what you been up to lately? And yeah, man, can I have another beer? You're like, oh my God, that really killed. I'm sure everyone's so impressed. And then they were like, you were on stage. No.
You played music today. Wait, hold on real quick, because I saw you recently at the Lodge Room here in Los Angeles with Drink the Sea, and I thought it was a really great 2-hour set. What did you make of that particular show?
I think it was a great one. LA was a good one because we were like, you know what it's like. You were like, oh my God, we did good in LA, you know. It's like doing San Francisco still hasn't happened, but we almost did. No. I don't know. There's certain places we did great at that wasn't expected. It was expected.
Just wear a T-shirt the next time you're up there. That everyone will love you. He'll be perfect.
LA was great. Yeah. LA was great. Seattle was great. Athens. We're playing Athens was great, and then New York. Michael Stipe was there. He came up. He was so into it. It was great, and everybody and REM was in Athens, and it was nice to play for Peter's home crowd, you know. And yeah, I mean, it's been really, really, really cool, and especially because it's a little over 2 hours. And sometimes when we get excited and we jam out even longer, it's been 2 hours and 20 minutes. I've never actually been part of a set that's long before. And it's not like it breaks up, like, oh, we have the acoustic section in the middle, or like the solo, get the crowd sing along. It's literally 2 hours and 20 minutes of music, you know, which is cool. And my goal is to get to the point where I can stand up again. I was just dealing with some health stuff, but on the other hand, I remember seeing Crimson, King Crimson in the 1980, and Robert Fripp was sitting in the middle, in the dark, with all this stuff, you know. It's almost like Puppet Master or something. It's like, okay, well, one can sit. Drummers are sitting, you know. Anyway.
It reminds me of Maynard James Keenan a little bit, when how they set up the Tool stage where he's not front and center, he's off in the shadows.
I know, I love that. In the back, you know. Actually, I opened up for Tool with my trio with the Cote and Philip Fonseca. We opened up for Tool, and we had a half-hour set, and we just kept really play and get the fuck out, because this is a fucking Tool audience, you know. And they were so amazing. And the day before, they played Lollapalooza, and I was blown away by how somebody could pull something like that off at a festival. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're incredible. Absolutely incredible. And the quick Maynard side note is, he's got this amazing winery in Arizona, and we just played in Phoenix, and guess who sent over a box of wine?
Oh.
Yes, indeed. And
fresh from Jerome.
Oh, it was so great, and we really enjoyed it. For a few,
he's serious about that wine.
Oh, it's amazing. Well, I mean, it was kick-ass. We made it last. We only would bust out a bottle out of the van every show, every other show. Just to keep it going.
We are both massive fans of the live music experience. And listen, sometimes you're simply there to have your face melted, which that's a lot of fun. But we believe that some live moments kind of feel bigger than the performance itself. So,
oh yeah.
Have you ever felt something on stage that kind of felt beyond you, maybe almost scared?
Man, there was a couple moments. Well, before morning, because obviously Chris and his voice and those songs that we created together, there were some really sublime moments. There was a few moments with PJ Harvey. There was a song towards the end where we're just standing there and singing. It's almost like a spiritual, gospel kind of like connection thing. And she was so incredible, and it's so theatrical, Like I would have to suppress tears, like quite a few times. Because you don't want to be the one person out of 10 that's going, oh, like it's so beautiful. Wearing a suit, like big dude, bald dude, looking like a fucking biker in a suit. And the other moments, like I remember like Montreux with Queens of the Stone Age. 2005, and then a couple of European festivals where it was serious. We got on that stage and you could feel it. We're going to just destroy, that kind of energy. It's very particular to Queens. And those concerts, keep being watched, millions of views in all those years since it's happened on YouTube's. So it means that there was the feeling was real. It was actually did happen like that. It's crazy how there can be that moment, and you don't, I guess sometimes you don't expect it. You just hope that it's going to happen, but occasionally it can get to that point where it's bigger than life. I think music originally was more connected to ritual and shamanism and, the first, beats and the first chants had to do more with, trying to figure out what is this experience, what's really going on. And I think it still has that. I remember seeing the first mosh pit. I was like, people like literally losing their sense of physicality to the point where they could just smash into each other and be in this state, like euphoric state where they feel no pain.
What a crazy concept that is.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, when you see it, when you see them go, like, yeah, it's crazy.
Well, so if it was shamanism in the beginning, like when you think about music's part today.
Yeah.
Like, when you think about music's part to play in this current zeitgeist, right now, you already talked about this, the world feels really chaotic. I mean, politically, environmentally, socially, obviously. What role do you think music plays in all this? Does it provide escape, resistance, healing, witnessing? Like, what does it mean for you?
I mean, I think it still has all those things. It's just that kind of societally, it's kind of taken a few notches down as entertainment, or like availability, like it's not that it about the financial part of it. It's a psychological part, like like all these works of art that are like the best thing that humanity has ever done. They don't, they shouldn't just be like all of it for just a little bit every month. I understand the egalitarian part of that, and but it's just because it's just another. It's like humans are funny. They're like. It's like, remember that when the collapse of the Soviet Union, there was all the jokes about new Russians, that they were into spending all this money. So it's like one guy goes, I love your tie. He goes, how much you pay for that? Oh, it's $1,000. He goes, you idiot, the store down the street, $2,500. Well, so it's like this thing about value, it's just, I mean, we grew up when music was somebody and one of your friends bought the vinyl, and then everybody got together and you listened to it. You got together on the thing. It just had this kind of like thing.
Yeah,
and it still does for a lot of people. It just maybe it wasn't. I don't know. Maybe it's always been a certain percentage. Maybe I'm diluted, and there's still today. There's a certain same amount of people, same percentage. And I guess, in all fairness, like music as a option to make a living didn't really exist that great before, right? You had to be a composer or teacher, work for the church or whatever back in the 1800s in the courts. A lot of people were just on the street, playing their songs, or troubadours,
Mm-hmm.
And so recorded music, really, there was a little bit of a fad period there. But at the same time, I'm so stoked that it's affordable to have a studio now. For all the awesomeness about analog gear, it's great to be able to have a world class, a recording done at home. At least for somebody like me, I think that's very exciting.
It's an equity thing, right? I mean, it takes a musician who maybe lacks those resources to still be able to produce something that makes that person feel like, yeah, look at what I was able to create, as opposed to saying, sorry.
Yeah. Well, there used to be some gatekeepers, like you have to save money. I remember working an entire summer to save money for our very first demo, a little 8-track recording with Flea and Hillel Jack and I, which sounds a lot like Metallica, by the way. I'm gonna share it with you. Years before, recording studios were so expensive, and labels had to get signed, and that's one good thing about the way the technology has brought us here today. To me, that I can actually have a studio in the house. Every time I've moved to a new place, I have a setup, and I make a record with that setup. So it's totally cool.
Well, you're talking about technology. I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm just going to give you 2 words: AI versus streaming.
Versus or together? Yeah.
Interpret as you will.
I would say AI. I don't know that. Like, I have friends that use AI because they don't want to go to the library and research. Spend 2 weeks researching, legal cases when AI can just help them with it. So the problem with it is that it makes it's a betrayal to our potential as human beings. The things that we have to work hard at. Before are no longer maybe required. So and they've even talked about the fact that if you use AI all the time, your brain connections start to undo themselves.
Yeah, you almost have to use it like as an assistant and as a thought partner.
Yeah, exactly.
Because then you're actually building those synapses versus saying, well, I've got this task in front of me. AI is just going to do it all for me, and then I don't have to put any thought into this.
Exactly. You engage it almost like as a friend or interesting thing, and you take it with a grain of salt, and you're more interested in the process and what you learn about yourself because of that than trying to use it to have shortcuts to something. I mean, that's what's frustrating now with, I guess with Spotify, there's like, fake bands and fake fans, and it's just like somebody goes, gets a phone call like, oh, your new song sounds really weird, and they're like, they have a new song, but it's not them. It's like some weird AI thing popped up out of nowhere. That's so bizarre, isn't it?
Well, in the music videos, the guitar player has 7 fingers, so now you know.
Right, yeah, exactly. The problem is that all of this stuff is dangerous because we're emotional. Our emotional intelligence has not grown. The fact that we're repeating mistakes that were just recently made, historically, with politically with wars and with stuff, is just like, but wait, didn't millions already suffer because of this? Wasn't that enough for everyone to realize this is not the way, or don't do that again? And guess what? Boom. It's like a generation later, like, what? So, no.
Alan, did I not mention sociopathic tendencies earlier?
Exactly.
When you're in charge of something, you don't give a damn if you can get your beak wet. So
yeah. Isn't that weird? And I see it happen with people that seem to be really, really the care, and by the time they have to rise up the ranks and get to a position where they might be powerful enough, like a president or a congressman, there's so many little concessions along the way, isn't there? Mm-hmm. So many little betrayals and so many little like, oh, but keep your ball. I mean, eye on the prize, and you know, just okay, because you will. By the time you get there, it's no longer the same. And it just pretty much seems to be always like that, right? Even from I guess from the Roman times. I don't know. It's complicated. It's not. It's definitely, you know. I guess the only thing one can do is just do the best you can, and try to be loving and supportive, and try to add some beauty to the world, or some good thoughts, or a poem, or whatever it is. It's like, you know. Otherwise, you feel pretty powerless. Like, no, I'm not one to like kind of hide and run away, but I find it really, really difficult increasingly the last few years and months, I suppose, to stay as plugged in as I used to be. I used to, you know, like watching news and trying to keep up with stuff. You know, man, it's just so depressing now. You know?
He says from his bunker in the hills of Chile.
He's like, yes. Oh my God. Oh yes, it was freezing. He said from his pool at 85 degrees.
His fortification in the.
Oh man,
I'm off grid. I don't even. Well, never mind.
I'm going to ask you one last question, Alan. Okay, you ready for this?
Yes.
You have, like we were talking about, you work with so many people because you are able to be that facilitator, as you mentioned at the top.
Mm-hmm.
I need to know. What is it about the collaboration that has taught you more about yourself that you couldn't have learned by yourself?
Well, just, you know, very often you surprise yourself that you had that in you, being around somebody that inspires you and being called upon to join them in this creative journey. I guess you never knew you could, you know, and there it is. You get there because you know, it's always like easier to be motivated to do something for someone else for some reason, you know. It's like for me, like if I just had to do it for myself, I don't think I even think about it very often or whatever. That's why when I did the solo record, I never thought I would be that guy that does solo records. I'd love to be in bands, but suddenly you had to say thank you to Natasha and kind of pay homage, and that's why you know it came about. I think with all the times with Chris and like it's amazing and Josh, how much you learn, you know, in the process. I think everyone in the collaboration learns something. And also the beauty of it is the ultimate trust, you know, that you let your guard down, and that you're vulnerable, and you make yourself in a way raw, so that you can get to the place where something interesting can happen, and then also trust the ones you're with to be there with you and to do that as well. And that's a pretty amazing thing to achieve and to happen, right? I mean, it's an unusual connection. It's a deep connection, more than just a little, you know, friendship, like, you know, small talk. It's quite and then you achieve something like Euphoria Morning, for example, and you can look at that and go, wow, we did that. That's incredible.
Yeah. Alan, the only thing. Go ahead, Jason.
Real quick, I was just going to say, we spoke to Eric Lillevoix, who co-owns London Bridge Studio last week, and it came to mind that these places where music is made are so special, especially the traditional recording spaces, and where you guys recorded Euphoria Morning is 5 minutes from my house. And I drive by it often, and I go, fuck. Just I think about the liner notes and the pictures and the songs, and you know, going up to Seattle last year and saying happy birthday to him with Anita, our friend Anita, over at 90, and you talking about the process that record, and just it's right there. It's right there. I can go and drive by and look at it and go, that's where that magic happened.
Yeah, it's just amazing. Like being able to have this with someone, to have this experience, and to be in a safe place where it could happen. Where it was, where you could feel like the environment itself became part of that thing. It became an additional component.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alan, the only other thing I wanted to ask you, just because we talked so much about these different eras and the turbulent times that we live in today, and the experiences, some magical, some really challenging, that you've endured over the years. After decades in this industry, what keeps you curious instead of cynical?
Well, I guess it's just this feeling of that there's more left to do, and that obviously, you the inner voice that would make me cynical, or the thing, especially like something like in my case with 11, I'm extremely proud of that music, and it was never properly promoted, or we had a hard time with labels that would just disappear, and then we didn't become big enough to be self-sustaining. And then, a lot of people, like, one of the sad parts for me is that Natasha passed away without really realizing what a massive, or what a strong, effect we had on people. As YouTube appeared and people got to hear it, they realized, there's a connection between 11 and Euphoria Morning and the influence that we've had on our fellow artists, and the same them to us as for us. That part of me is like was a little bit upset, at the time, extremely upset, because I just wanted to keep going, and I felt so proud of what we'd achieved and of Natasha's talent, and she struggled so much, growing up in the Soviet Union, and she made her way out, and then next thing you know, she's on Motown as a teenager, and then their band gets boycotted because the Russians invaded Afghanistan, and then we're finally hanging out, and we've made all these records that are really incredible. So there's plenty of reason for me to be like bitter or cynical after what I've seen, like people failing upwards in the industry, like meaning like the A&R guys and the presidents that just kept taking more money and knew how to play the corporate game and just supposedly love music. It's almost like when Frank Zappa said, like, the old school guys are just like, yeah, the kids, give them what they want. I know how to sell stuff. It could be shoes, it could be bands, the early music industry people that built so many great careers, and later on became the hipster A&R guy that suddenly had an opinion. Then suddenly it got much more complicated. Don't get me started. It looks like we're really cynical now. Okay,
don't do it.
But at the same time, there's a lot more where that came from. No, no, but goddamn it, it's like I'm interested in now, and I feel blessed. I feel blessed to still be here. I feel blessed to have been part of so many cool things. I'm really curious that if I can still be part of some new cool things. Right now I got my new band with Drink to See, and we already got like 20 songs for the next album recorded.
Oh my God.
I don't even know how.
It was a double album, Alan. How much more music could there be in the last 4 years?
But what happened is we went on the road, and then one day we went to Rancho, and then we were rehearsing for the thing. We were at Barrett's house, and we wrote and recorded a few things, and now we're going to go spend a week here after Lollapalooza in a local amazing studio in Chile called Los Lobos, and then in Sao Paulo too, and then, next thing you know, we're going to have 22 songs again, I'm not saying they're good. I'm just saying we're recording them.
Alan plays music.
That's the main thing. It's never worry about it. Just keep going, whether it's good or not. That's my advice.
Well, I'm glad that you keep going, Alan, because all these things, like Paul mentioned the 100 songs. There's fucking a million songs, and I find myself being like, holy shit, Alan's on this. Holy shit, Alan's on this.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm
Thank
super
you.
appreciative that you were able to talk with us. Hopefully we can, I feel like we have more stories we could get to at some point.
Man, let's do a part 2 sometime this year. Hopefully a couple more interesting things are going to happen, and hopefully we'll all still be here.
Good point.
Yeah, no. I'm always.
Alan, your bunker looks fantastic. How many cans of food do you have?
I actually have you know those black beans in a little carton thing that they have in South America. I got tons of those. So
you're good.
I'm sorted. At least till next Tuesday.
Oh my God.
Well, thanks for talking with us, man. We really
enjoyed you guys. Really, that was really fun. Thank you for inviting me and providing such a cool forum.
Oh, of course. Thank you for coming. Alain Johannes, everybody.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you again to Alan for taking the time. It's tricky when people are on other continents, other hemispheres, and we were able to make it happen while Alan's down in South America. So thank you for joining us, Alan. And my God, the stories. I can't wait for the part 2, Paul.
I'm super stoked about it as well. I got to tell you, who needs coffee or tea when you have conversations like that? That'll wake you up in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Alan. And listen, I don't have to name his discography. You can just go Google it. It's like 1 million pages long, and more music coming. I can't wait for albums 3 and 4 of Drink the Sea, and the new solo project, and the new trio project, and his other collaborations with Patron and Sick Joy. And I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So go listen to some Alain Johannes today, or some Queens of the Stone Age, or some 11, and have a fabulous day. And we really do appreciate you guys. Paul's going to play you off with his.
I'm not going to play. I'm just going to say next time we have him on, he's going to teach me how to play this thing.
Appreciate you guys. Like I said at the top of the show, links below for Patreon or supporting the show through the Pod Shop. You can get anything you want to help us out. We really do appreciate you. And the free, easy thing to do if you're here on YouTube is to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell for notifications. And if listening only, Paul.
Rate, review, and subscribe on your preferred podcast platform of choice. Feed the algorithm. Beat it because we need it. You can feed the hope machine too.
That would be good. We got a little dark there towards the end.
Yeah.
The times they are a changing. Is that Bob Dylan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. I almost threw myself under the bus. Anyways, episode 297 in the books, which means we only have a few more before episode 300. Oh my goodness. So many good conversations to come, I assure you. And very exciting spring to come here on the State of Love and Trust. We'll see you next week. And until we do, you're listening to or watching
The State of Love and Trust.